Hello there to anyone who is watching. This is the very first of Anastasia and ASM Unplugged. We're going to critique a video today. So welcome, Anastasia.
Thank you so much. I'm so happy to be here. For everybody that's watching us, everybody that's going to watch us later, hey.
Oh, thank you so much. Well, I'm thrilled to have you. You look beautiful. And today's video is kind of a short one. A Black dad comes on and powerfully talks about critical race theory, and he claims that people who allow critical race theory, they're just fanning the flames of what little embers are left of racism in the United States. And he's talking to the Colorado School Board, and they end up banning any attempt at critical race theory. Now, people need to understand, first of all, critical race theory is not generally taught in schools, especially at any lower levels, but that's a whole nother story. The father's name is Derek Wilburn, and he's the president of the Rocky Mountain Black Conservatives. So he's been around the block. He knows what he's doing. This isn't just off the cuff, some, nice parent coming up and happening to be incredibly eloquent. He says critical race theory only allows racism to live longer. And in this impassionate speech, Wilburn recounts his ancestors, who their history, they were slaves. And he tells about them. And then he urges Colorado Springs School District 49 to ban CRT, critical race theory. The board votes 3-2 to ban this controversial issue. CRT is taught in some law courses. It's an educational model that tries to understand the roots and persistence of racial disparities in the United States. It's really not anything that is taught in school per se. Critical race theory is a buzzword or a trigger that gets far right really scared and upset. And it's really not taught in school anyway. But it's a theory that's been there for over 40 years. And just to be honest, since that's what we're here for, what these people are fearful of is that their children will learn a real racial history. And so on that lovely rant, I will play the video, and then Anna's going to take over with any comments or questions, and we will go from there. So
let's get to it.
I am the direct descendant of the North American slave trade. Both my parents are black, all 4 of my grandparents are black, all 8 of my great-grandparents, all 16 of my great-greats. On my mother's side, my ancestors were enslaved in Alabama. On my father's side, we were enslaved in Texas. I am not oppressed. I'm not oppressed, and I'm not a victim. I'm neither oppressed nor a victim. I travel all across this country of ours, and I check into hotels, and I fly commercially, and I walk into retail establishments, and I order food in restaurants. I go wherever I want, whenever I want. I am treated with kindness, dignity, and respect, literally from coast to coast. I have 3 children. They are not oppressed either, although they are victims. I've taught my children they are victims of 3 things: their own ignorance, their own laziness, and their own poor decision making. That is all. My children, we are not victims of America. We are not victims of some unseen 190-year-old force that kind of floats around in the ether. Putting critical race theory into our classrooms is taking our nation in the wrong direction. Racism in America would by and large be dead today if it were not for certain people and institutions keeping it on life support. And sadly, very sadly, one of those institutions is the American education system. I can think of nothing more damaging to a society than to tell a baby born today that she has grievances against another baby born today simply because of what their ancestors may have done 2 centuries ago. There is simply no point in doing that to our children. And putting critical race theory into our classrooms in part does that. Putting critical race theory into our classrooms is not combating racism, it's fanning the flames of what little embers are left. I encourage you to support this resolution. Let racism die the death it deserves, and let's keep living the life of the country that we want. Thank you.
All right. So, yeah, that. I'm very interested in the way he describes systemic racism. That the definitions he's using are not kind of in my repertoire of understanding, but I wanted to start off with asking Anna, bring it on, my friend. What do you think? I have question after question for you. So let me know. What do you think of this guy?
I don't. So let's be clear about certain things, Angry Soccer Mom. I don't think about people like that. I don't even let them come into my ecosystem because at the end of the day, these people are sock puppets. They're sock puppets.
What do you mean? Tell me more.
Meaning that they got somebody's arm up their ass, telling them what to say and what to do, because those people have control over them. Because let's be clear, right? Black people did not bring racism to America. Okay, let's be clear about that. We have been over racism since day one. Let's be clear about that. Of course, I sent you these videos to show you the mental gymnastics. And then you said that this man was a Black conservative. Well, a lot of Black people are conservative when we're talking about certain things. However, being a conservative doesn't make you blind.
Like, are you talking about like conservative in the sense of some people are economically conservative with their finances?
Well, what I was meaning by that is like, okay, so when they're talking about Black conservatives, let's break down what they're initially talking about, right? They're talking about marriage. We also know as a twinge of, not supporting the LGBTQ plus community. I'm just going to be real about that. And getting married and, doing these things, the whole bootstrap, pulling yourself up from your own bootstrap, right?
Traditional values, right?
Right.
Conservatives have traditional values.
I guess we can do air quotes with that, because when you have this, these are traditional values had me in chains, right?
And he's denying racism.
Right. But that's not what he's denying. That's not what he's denying. Angry Soccer Mom. What he's denying is the truth. Because I always tell somebody, okay, say you don't teach about slavery. Okay? Say because it didn't end bondage. Human bondage is still going on in jails because it's legal when it comes to the 13th Amendment. But even having said that, even in the 60s, there were Black people that were slaves in Louisiana. Okay, so the Emancipation Proclamation came out, let's say 1865, that's when so-called slavery ended. We know for certain that there were still people in slavery in the states that did not rebel and become traitorous, that did not secede, correct? Okay, so after those people were let free, right? Was everything good after that? Okay, we're not gonna talk about mass incarceration. We're not gonna talk about sharecropping. We're not gonna talk about the compromise where they basically compromise Black people, that we're going to take all these troops out of the South and here comes the KKK to do with it. Okay, let's leave all that out. Was it okay after that? Okay, let's talk about Jim Crow. Okay, no problem. Was everything okay after Jim Crow when we said, you know what? We are didn't we say we were post-racial then? Didn't we say that? We said we were post-racial then.
After emancipation, that's it.
That was it. Everything was good. Okay, no problem. Let's talk about the Voting Rights Act. Let's talk about the Civil Rights Bill. Was everything great after that? No, it wasn't. Let's talk about the 70s. Was everything great in the 70s? Okay, let's talk about the 80s. Was everything great in the 80s? Let's talk about the 90s. Was everything great when you had crack and you had all of these things happening during the 90s, mass incarceration, entire neighborhoods just destroyed? You know, so the thing about it is, like I said, we can bird box this and let's pay attention to who was behind him. Who was behind him? And this is why I called him a sock puppet, because I'm looking at who these people are behind him. We can play this game that I'm colorblind, but if he hasn't gotten it already, he's going to get his Negro wake-up call, just like Candace Owens got her Negro wake-up call.
Tell us what you mean by that, a Negro wake-up call.
Negro wake-up call.
I know what it is, but
right, we talk, but a Negro wake-up call is when a Black person or a non-white person gets shown racism and discriminatory and bigotry in their face, and there's no way they can deny it. The sad thing about Candace Owens, she's a grifter, point blank and simple. We know who Candace Owens is. We know who Terrence K. Williams is. We know who Rayon and Cubic Zirconia, Diamond and Silk. We know who these people are. We know who this person is because the simple fact of the matter is I would rather be a pet than be a meal. And that's just the way I see it. There's a way that you can teach history where it's like, hey, we still have problems. So now this is what killed me about this whole thing. One, CRT is not taught in schools. Half of these people didn't even know what CRT was before a couple of months ago. I didn't even know what CRT was before.
Right, the far right brought it up as
exactly.
a
But why? But why did they bring this up? Because they do not have any policies. They have no policies that will bring in voters. So all they got to do is squirrel, distractions, look at the shiny thing. What was before this? Mr. Potato Head. The second,
what do you mean by that, Mr. Potato Head?
Remember the whole thing about it? It wasn't going to be a Mr. Potato Head or a Mr. Potato wife. It was just going to be a Mr. Potato. It was going to be a potato person. You don't remember that?
No, I don't know what you're talking about.
Yeah,
so tell us.
You know the toy Mr. Potato Head, right?
Yeah.
So now they're not going to give it a gender.
Okay.
So that's what I'm saying.
Connect that with what you're talking about. What do you mean? So
what I mean is that we went from being upset about Mr. Potato Head. We went from being upset about Dr. Seuss.
You're talking about the rights, distractions, and
right. It's nothing but distractions. We went from being. Now, this is the funny thing about it. This dude is saying that there's no such thing as racism and it's been dead. You know, the lieutenant governor of Texas just blamed Black people for the reason why
COVID spreading
Texas
all over. Yeah.
Before, who was it? It's like a game of tag, like I told you before. Racism, a game of tag. First, it was the undocumented immigrants, right? Remember that?
Oh, absolutely. It's gone from person to person to person, right?
Remember, it was undocumented immigrants, then it's Black people. Then, of course, you know, we have the situation that's going on in Afghanistan. Somehow, some way, it's going to be their fault because they're refugees and helped us. And so the American government, you know, kept one of its promises, which we know that's few and far between. But the simple fact of the matter is, it's always somebody other to blame than who's to blame. Okay, unvaccinated.
Okay, so is this what you're saying, Anastasia? Are you trying to say that the Republicans don't have any actual policies? They just continuously try to pull in people based on their anger and how fear and how upset they get and their worries and concerns. And it's all about emotion. And it's all about things that aren't really truthful and honest. Is that kind of, you're bringing it up?
No, that is exactly what I'm saying.
Okay.
Is that we go from culture war to culture war to culture war. These are the people that don't want you to have Medicare for all. This is one of the same people that said your elderly great and grandparents should die for the economy. These are the same people that are attacking legal immigration, do not want anything regulated. These are the same people that don't believe in climate change and climate refugees. So at the end of the day, Social Security, you know, these are the same people that don't believe in a minimum wage.
Right.
So, I mean,
it's crazy. We have a comment here. Are you ready for a comment?
Yeah, of course.
Garrick says, "Hi, Garrick. Welcome and welcome. I am Legend. Thanks for being here." Garrick says he's referring to the man in the video. He's pandering to racism and telling these racists what they want to hear. This man is setting himself to learn the hard way. Enabling racism will only get one bulldozed. We'll only get one bulldozed. And I guess what he's saying is, and I don't want to speak for Garrick, but this guy's going to get his pretty soon when he realizes he's not part of the gang. He's being used.
He's not. But that's the thing. Like I said, that's why I said this dude is a sock puppet. Because at the end of the day, you have to pay attention to who is around you.
Clapping
and clapping. Look at the dancing Black person. What Donald Trump said. Look at my African American out there. And trust me, once they get done and over with you, trust me, they're gonna get rid of you. A master always disregards their tools once they're done.
Absolutely.
Always.
Trump is riddled with a history well before he was ever president of cruel things historically towards Black people. I mean, Central Park 5 and his lawsuits of discrimination and the things he did to the people who worked for them, from the brown folks who did a lot of the work in his place.
But let's not just say the brown people.
Well, I was going to go on and tell.
Right, but listen, this is the thing. He had the newly whites. He had some Polish workers. And the reason why I say newly whites, because when these people first immigrated to America, they weren't considered white either. So that's why I say the air quotes, the newly whites, the Polish workers, he refused to pay them too. That's what
I believe it. Yeah, I was referring to his remember when he had the housekeepers at his giant resorts, and what he did was he created fake documents for them to get in, and then he turned them all in.
Yep, he sure did. And while he was
documents, it was like, what?
Right. And while he was telling them, oh, we don't need these people in here, he was trying to get more visas for more workers, and he was actually turning Black people away.
Yeah, he's a con man, and the people who follow him in suit are also con men and women. You can't have it both ways. You cannot support a man who is overtly, obnoxiously racist, misogynist, bigoted, just nasty as hell, and does not like anyone who's not really, really rich, and say, well, but I'm not racist, because you see, you might not think you're racist and all that, but it sure as hell, it wasn't a point that made you say, you know what, it wasn't a deal breaker for you.
No, it wasn't. Like you said, this woman, she made a video. She said, you will forever be known as a person that supported the same person that the KKK, the Proud Boys, and these white supremacist groups supported. That's you. That's who you will always be. That's who you will always be. You know
Absolutely. We have another comment. Peru, the Duke of the Great Lakes, has a comment. The privileged white people they're pretending white supremacy is brand new and they have nothing to do with it. Yeah, that's what we do. Denial. And the reason we love this man when we're white and standing behind him is because he gets it. We don't want to have to think about our role in racism, in systemic racism. We don't want to have to consider us as maybe a bad guy, or maybe we don't want to. So we love him because, you see, he understands our cute, tender feelings are hurt. And so they're clapping. They're like, yes, they're happy. They love it. And that's why they're so damn happy. You will never see a room of happier white people than when a man who is Black, brown, or indigenous is standing up saying, racism, what?
And it's survivorship bias. The fact of the matter is, he said he was in Colorado, right?
Yeah, he is.
There's not even enough. The thing about it is you have to look at where you're at, where it's not even enough of a Black population there for certain things to go on. I'm not saying it doesn't, but my girlfriend is in Colorado right now, and she can tell you the racist things that go on. Just because it didn't have, we talked about this before. I'm not a man. I've never had a vasectomy. That doesn't mean I can tell you I just had a vasectomy. Oh, that doesn't hurt.
Right.
I can't do that.
Anastasia, are you saying you think this guy truly has not experienced racism, possibly?
No, he has.
What's he doing?
He has. Oh, trust me. If he's old enough, let's talk about Michael Steele. Michael Steele is a Black man that was in charge of the Republican Party, right? The campaigns and stuff like that. A couple of years back, he had to ask permission in order to use funds. This person, he's the head of the RNC, but only him had to ask. These are the things, like I said, because yes, look who Michael Steele is.
What I was asking is was that the main point you're making?
Yeah, this is what I'm saying is that here you have these Black people espousing the things that white people want to say.
But there's still puppets, is what you're
saying. Right. And then some of them aren't, because this is the thing. I was just watching this. I forget what the name of the guy's name is, but he was a Republican lawmaker. Mm-hmm. He had two Twitters, one as himself and one as a Black gay man, right? So he forgot to switch his Twitter accounts and was talking to the public like he was this Black gay. He hired Patti LaBelle's adopted son. After he got caught for lying, he hired Patti LaBelle's adopted son to come on camera and say, hey, my name is Dan Purdy. I am a Black gay man, and I'm the one that wrote this. So there are capitulators.
He tried to cover, and he could cover his tracks, and he went there. Right. And we have another comment. Are you ready for another comment?
Yes, ma'am.
Two comments, actually. Garrick says, what is also a trait with Black conservatives is they'll be against programs like affirmative action, but it'll be okay to go to college under the same program, like Larry Elder, Ben Carson, Clarence Thomas. So it's,
yes.
And
yes.
Yeah, and then
and the thing about it is this is the problem and the duality with that. Mm-hmm. Where you have it at is with the total Black experience. I earned being here. Now, this is the thing with affirmative action. They have made it to the point where the only reason why you got this job or you got into college, we had to lower the standards for you. That is not what affirmative action is. Now, this is the question. Why did we need affirmative action? If we're post-racial, right? That's what this dude is saying, right? Why did we need affirmative action? And let's be clear about something. Affirmative action helped more white women
than anybody.
They're at right now. And with these minority businesses, what a lot of these white men are doing, they're putting their white women, their white wives as the owner so they can take part in that.
Absolutely. And it's not just affirmative action. We're doing it. Why do we need the Voting Rights Act? Why do we need anything that stops? Because the statistics bear out the truth. No matter what someone says, the statistics aren't lying. And they are grim about the number of people, percentage-wise, who are abused and rendered with injustice because of the melanin that's active and more active in their bodies than other people. I mean, it's ridiculous.
Right.
So statistics don't lie. We have another comment. Are you ready?
Yeah.
Peru, the Duke of the Great Lakes. If someone, let me back it up because he's got a bunch of comments.
Right.
Three in a row. Let me see. So his first comment was white folks are pretending it's some brand new thing, which we all know is, yeah, right. Next comment, if you're white in America, you are racist because you don't belong here. Your ancestors stole our country. And third, if someone broke into your house and took over everything, what does hate have to do with it?
So can I take this one?
Absolutely.
So I was reading that comment, right?
Huh?
And I was reading everything that this gentleman said, right? Now, let's be clear about certain things. We are on stolen land. That's why when you and I talk, I always give homage to the fact that we are here on stolen land, right?
Absolutely.
The second thing about it, what he's saying is, you came here, broke into my house, burned my village, my villages down, raped the women, took people into slavery, gave them diseases. You know what I'm saying? And now you want to talk about hate. Who are you to ask me if I hate you? If somebody did the same thing to you, how would you feel about it? Now let's talk about the complexity that comes with Black people and Native Americans. There were First Nation people that were vicious slave owners. So even in that type of situation, I understand what's going on. And I'm not saying, oh, well, this is not my fight, but we have to understand that in that complexity, when we have these people going at each other, like I said, it's always a hand. And you're going to get more of a punch if you stick together like this, but we all go into our own silos because of the complexity. Martin Luther King, the Poor People's Campaign, and what's going on now with Reverend Dr. Barber, he's saying, yes, we all got something in common. We're all
come together economically, right?
We need to come together because the thing about it, at the end of the day, the rich elites don't really give a damn about you either.
Right. Now, our real enemy are the wealthiest elites, but the GOP and the far right would have you think it's the immigrants, it's the Black people, it's the brown people, it's the indigenous people.
They're taking from you.
They're taking from you.
They're taking from you.
Corporate welfare takes, oh my God, so much more money out of your taxes than anyone on welfare. We have no idea. It's like not even a close call. It's like $36 to $6,000 per year.
Right.
6,000 corporate welfare.
Right.
We are being played the fool, and it's keeping us against each other. It's keeping us. We're being played the fool. We're doing exactly what they want.
Well, and this is the thing with the Civil War. The Civil War was super stupid in certain ways for people to participate. So you as a poor white person, because they always do this whole thing, oh, white people back then couldn't afford slaves. Exactly. So you as a poor white person cannot get a job because this rich white person or rich whoever, because they always like to throw this, that, oh, there were Black slave owners. Okay, what is your point? What is your point? There are women that rape other women. What does that mean? It's okay for you to rape a woman as a man because there's women raping other women? No, that's super stupid. But the thing about it is that you're fighting a war. You're happy. You're wearing these talismans that, oh, it's about heritage. Heritage to do what? So now the rich elites have pitted you against me. You're poorer than I am.
Right. That's been going. So I didn't mean to cut you off.
Yeah.
That's been going on and on since the very beginning. LBJ said, Lyndon B. Johnson said, and I hate to be so antiquated with this, but he basically said, I got like a quote, quote from him right here. And he said, if you can convince the lowest white man he's better than the best colored man, he won't notice that you're picking his pocket. Hell, give him someone to look down upon and he'll empty his pockets for you.
Right.
And that's what we've done.
Right. Feelings. They always say, why are you Black people so emotional? Bruh, you just had a man go up to the Library of Congress and threaten to blow up, property. And y'all telling us why we're emotional about you killing us in the street. He's mad because supposedly his healthcare got cut off. That's the party that you're supporting, though, that wants to do that.
Right. He's supporting the far right, and they did it. And they truly believe, Anastasia, in my heart, they believe that if we give free healthcare, then people won't have an incentive to stay healthy. What the actual fuck? I'm sorry. That's
Did you see what dude? But did you see what dude did on the Laura Ingraham show? And he was like,
"Nope." But I saw.
No. It was just a clip on TYT. That's the only reason why. But he basically, this is what he said. He said that he was talking to the K-9 unit in the Green Berets or in the military. And he said they don't feed the dogs till at night because a hungry dog, a starving or a hungry dog is loyal. That's what he said, the guy from Bar Rescue. And I was like, are you serious, dude? So you're saying that you want people to start, and Laura Ingraham, she was smarter, like, we're not saying we want people to start, but you are saying that. You are saying that.
Bottom line for me, at least, and I'm speaking for me only, obviously, is that the wealthiest elites are running the show.
Which she is.
They know how to do it, and they are pitting us against each other.
Yep.
And they're doing so by breaking into every stereotype and every bigoted and every racist thought we have. And they are encouraging us and telling us that those people are the problem when it is actually corporations and wealthiest billionaires out of control, making laws to make themselves richer. And we're suckers for falling for it. And anyone who's not a billionaire in the Republican Party is voting against their own best interests. They do not care about your welfare. It's like capitalism on steroids.
I'm saying about Swirl. First, you were upset about Dr. Seuss. You were mad that they were going to make Ariel, a Disney fictional character, Black. That's what you were mad at. That was the latest thing that you were mad at, because you didn't think Ariel, there's no, like, literally some people were doing tests to see that, to show you that there's no way Ariel would be Black and be a real, I was like, plot twist, mermaids aren't real. Dummy. Plot twist, they can be any color they want to be. Like, come on, bro. So it's stochastic terrorism that they're dealing in. The fact that you're manipulating and manufacturing consent to do these things. And so now just a couple of months ago, a dude blew up like 2 or 3 city blocks. Why is nobody talking about that? If that was a Black person, a brown person, or a person of the Muslim faith, do you not know what would have happened to this man, his family? He just blew it up. Oh, he's a lone wolf. There are always these lone wolves, and we know that that's a lot. Dylan Roof was not a lone wolf, and the guy that just in DC that just bought up, he was going to blow up whatever he was going to blow up for whatever wacko reason he was going to blow it up. He said there's 4 other people out here.
What do you mean by that?
4 other trucks. There was 4 other trucks, and he was talking to Joe Biden like, Joe, you can't shoot in the truck because it may blow up. What makes you think Joe Biden is coming down there to talk to you about this? He said that. I was like, he's batshit crazy. Like, he really is.
Basically, I guess the bottom line is, and we have a couple comments. I'm going to read a couple comments, and then
yes, ma'am.
I can start kind of closing, but then I want you to make some more comments if you have them. Is the bottom line is that we are being fooled over and over and over for generations into blaming Black people for all our problems when we did this.
Right.
The white folks, not you personally, but
right.
White folks, we did this, and we need to take some racial responsibility. It's not difficult. You don't have to do everything. Just educate yourself in our real racial history. Stop buying into the lies. I mean, my God, the propaganda is real in this country. And let me jump in to take Derek says, this is why racism can't end in America, because your wealthy elites profit off of it. LBJ quote is engraved in them. Now they now are able to disguise it more with American flags and patriotism. And he's absolutely right.
Right.
The racism of yesteryear does not look like the racism of today.
No.
Sometimes it does, but often very much not. You have to understand, we've gotten good at this.
Yeah.
Right? We've
You
really
got
gotten-
cosmopolitan racists now, like what's his name, Richard Spencer, but they already talked about that when they talked about the Southern strategy. How now you can't call them the N-word, you got to say different words. I don't understand why they don't think that racism, in order for racism to live, it has to continuously evolve.
It has to morph and change.
Right.
Absolutely.
It has to. It has to. If it doesn't, people will be like, oh, you're racist and you're going to be able. That's why the Confederate flag thing was a big thing, because now I can look at you and say, oh, you're racist. Let me stay away from you.
What are you talking
Exactly.
about? It's tradition.
Exactly.
Well, it is.
It's
Right.
bullshit.
I mean, now instead of saying you're black, we don't want you to vote, we simply say, well, there's so much fraud when there's none. And see,
Right.
we morph it. I mean, the BS is flying.
Yes.
Haru, the Duke of Great Lakes, says we've basically perfected it.
Yes.
Well, we have much more to go because people are fighting back. So we're gonna have to get better and better. It will continue to morph and change. Like with the Southern strategy, for people who aren't sure, that's the strategy that was made very, very famous just after 1964 Republican Party election, where you basically are racist, but you're really, everything about what you're doing is racist, but you kind of maneuver around it a bit.
Right.
Make it seem like it's not that.
Right. Make it ambiguous. You have to make it ambiguous.
Yeah.
You have to make it.
Right, absolutely.
You have to make it. And the thing about it is, you have to be willing to hurt white people too.
Oh, absolutely.
Because white America, and I'm not talking about on a micro level, but on a macro level, will eat its own.
Absolutely. As long as you're not getting it, we'll suffer, just like the pool thing. We talked about the pools, and when people did not want black people in pools, they closed them all down, the public pools. But then white people couldn't go in the pools. It didn't matter. As long as we will harm ourselves and vote against our best interest, as long as they get nothing.
Yeah, I will cut my nose off to spite my face. And now nobody gets anything.
And okay, we have some comments. Haru, the Duke of the Great Lakes, says there's no lone wolves in white supremacy. Oh, hell no, there are none. It is an
there are none.
It's a club that started from the very beginning of this nation and then some. And Garrick says California will regret it if Elder becomes governor, because the person Robert Smith says Larry Elder is California's next governor. I'm not sure what he's trying to do there, but thank you for telling us. Congratulations to you.
Right.
I don't know what this is. He will. Garrick says he will put California on the same path as Texas and Florida.
Yep.
Stick to radio. He will commit career suicide. Well, yeah, California is. Yeah. Don't even get me off topic. Don't you pull me off topic.
No. Let's stay focused. Focus.
Not Garrick. You're fine, Garrick. No worries. I know a little bit about California. I lived there for 31 years.
Wow.
But anyway, the guy, when we get back to the guy in the video, he's the head of this conservative black group in Colorado. And if you notice when he's talking, he's jumped from his relatives who were forced into an enslaved status over many, many generations. And then he immediately jumps to modern day.
No, because that's street cred. You have to see, you gotta.
I get that.
Yeah, that's street cred.
Right. No, and I understand that. And my point is that, sure, that's fine. But then he jumps to modern day. I'm sorry, but there's a problem here. The man skipped about 150 plus hardcore, purposeful years of systemic racism that were not only in the past, but continue today against Black, brown, and indigenous people, and sometimes impoverished white people. And to this day, so personally, I mean, I'm thrilled for him. Don't get me wrong. I'm happy that he hasn't been the subject of systemic racism. I'm happy that he's having a great life and all that. I don't want him to be, hurt by our sick culture of white supremacy. But, I'm thrilled for the guy and his children that he's never experienced this. But let's be real, Derek Wilberg. He's forgotten about more than a century and a half and counting, still happening, of oppression, marginalization by the hands of the people. the people, the masses, the white masses, and many times our federal and state and local governments. This is a government-sponsored deal.
Yeah.
The following are a little reminder for him. I don't think he's listening, but maybe I don't think I can change his mind. But Anastasia, the following is a reminder of the rules that we've created and the laws that we've created to make it nearly impossible for Black, Brown, and Indigenous people and people of mixed heritage and some impoverished white people to accumulate generational wealth in a society whose economic system is based on capitalism on steroids. I just gotta list them off. There's redlining and housing, land, businesses, loans. There's hundreds of mass murders of, mass murders of Black Wall Street's just one of them. Black people, destruction of their property, of their land, the origins of the police as slave catchers, and the continuing culture of abuse and murder that we just say, well, there's that blue line, What the hell? We know about it. There's voting oppression through a variety of means, all complete bullshit. The one that just kills me is this announcement where we've had the most solid, secure election in the history of the world. And the far right says somebody cheated. It ended up being them, but not going there.
Right.
Sundown towns that restricted traveling and safety and commerce. There's lynchings, there's black codes. It was just slavery under another name, but maybe possibly even worse because nobody valued the people. There's massive for-profit prisons, school to prison pipeline, medical racism. I could go on and on. And unfortunately, this doesn't seem to be the overall experience of most non-white people, the way this man is talking. I don't know how you felt when you heard him for the first time, but not only I do not think he's the majority, but just, and you can talk to that in 1 second because I want him to say, but academia, statistics, the facts of life do not support him on equity or inclusion or justice in America. What he's saying goes against academia, science, social science, and everything we see today. So what did you think when you first heard him?
So this is the thing, like when we begin first talking about this, I didn't think anything about him. You know why I didn't think anything about him? Because at the end of the day, you're always going to have those people. You had those people doing the civil rights. Her name was Julia Brown. Julia Brown was an informant for the CIA against Martin Luther King and said that Martin Luther King was a part of a communist party and that the Russians were stoking racial animus and all the stuff that was happening was not really happening. Okay, you had even during slavery that in other enslaved people told on other enslaved people. The Denmark Vesey, the church that Dylan Roof went to would have been one of the biggest slave insurrections. But guess who told on Denmark Vesey? Other Black people. So even Nat Turner, that's why Harriet Tubman carried a gun, because she's like, you're more of a danger to us. If you decide you're going to go back, I got to kill you first because you're going to be more of a danger and going to get more people killed if I allow you to go back. So basically, if I'm looking for, they call it dumbmf.com. If I was looking for every wrong answer, if I was looking for everything that's facts, is factless, apolitical, ahistorical, I would go to him and call him, www.dumbmf.com, because if you look at the books that's in my library, everything he's saying, now what he's doing now is saying, oh, my kids are not oppressed other than by their own ignorance, bad choices. And he said one other thing, right? You skipped like everything that was in the middle of it. Like you
trying to name them all. I was trying to name it like things after things. And,
yeah, like you're telling me that cops are on record stating that we were told to stop Black people on purpose. I love beating Black people up. You have
he skipped everything. He skipped,
let's say 2021, 20 to 2021, how many lynchings that there were? How many lynchings, how many Black people were killed in predominantly white towns by white people in predominantly white neighborhoods? Kawan Charles.
We could go on and on and on, right? We could
go on it, the stand your ground.
And go ahead.
No, you stand your ground. That wasn't made for Black people.
No, that was made to kill Black people.
That was to kill Black people.
Yeah.
We know that. Yeah. Long guns in Alec and Walmart. We know Alec is in league with these lawmakers. And after the Trayvon Martin tragedy, the biggest seller of long guns was Walmart. And they are the same ones that was pushing stand your ground.
Yeah. And, part of it, and as a white person talking about this, I really need to watch my lane because you see, I'm a white person. And what I mean by my lane is I came on today and I'm critiquing a video of a Black man speaking his truth. And you might say, well, he doesn't really believe it, but this is his truth as far as I know. And as a white person, it is not my place to tell him how to feel, think, act. I do not know
mine either
how to stop systemic racism in America than a person who lives it. But the strange part is he says he's not living it. So, I'm kind of crossing the line a little. I rarely do this, but you know what? I'm getting bolder. And I need to say this video shocked me. And the thing I wanted to add, before we close, and I want to hear what you have to say in our closing, is I am not for 1 minute blaming the victim here. Okay. This man is also a victim of his surroundings and of this incredibly strong culture of systemic racism and white supremacy. I don't know why he believes what he believes, but he does. And it is not my place to say, well, I know better. But I can say he is very, very much not following the statistics, not following the science, not following the social science, not following what most people, and I mean a big percent, have experienced. And so it's just really incredibly hard to watch. And that's kind of a disclaimer from me because it's bothering me as a white person to come on and how dare I, but that's why we're a team. And I'm
not an arbiter. Like I always tell people, I am not the arbiter of Blackness, nor are we a monolith, nor am I speaking for the Black delegation, nor did Angry Soccer Mom bring me on here as they would call Black winch to explain and big her up. The reason why she brought me on here is to say that is not everybody's experience. Like my children, like I told you before, my children first learned that they were Black on a school bus in kindergarten. You know what I'm saying? I didn't send them into most 99% of Black parents hate having the talk. And I forget which, you want to believe that too. You want to believe that we are post-racial, but we're not. I can tell you that right now. We are not post-racial. And the fact that I don't know what you've not been paying attention to, but again, that may be his experience, but I can tell you right now that he's a sock puppet.
It's not a shared.
Yeah, that's not a shared experience, but that's like me saying, because I was not sexually assaulted as a child, that child molestation doesn't happen. And if you stop talking about child molestation, then it'll go away.
That's what hurts. He's using sampling of one, and he thinks he's talking about systemic racism, but he's not. He's talking about his own personal experience. But
if you have a broken arm and you never go to the doctor, you never said it, that doesn't mean it's going to go away. That just means you're going to have a broken arm that's probably going to heal incorrectly. You're not going to be able to use it correctly. Now, this is what I'll close out. Everybody brings up the Holocaust and all of these things. The difference between us and what happened during the Holocaust is that the Germans are not proud of what they did. Mm-hmm. It is illegal for you to show the swastika in Germany. It is illegal for you to do the Heil Hitler sign. They teach so it doesn't happen again.
Can't deny it either. Can't
exactly. They don't deny any of that.
You're not allowed to deny it.
Right. When you go to these Holocaust museums, you're going to see Americans dancing and doing pirouettes and doing all these kind of things, because to them it's abstract. It's something that somebody else did. But if you go to the Whitney plantation, because the Whitney plantation had to put out, we don't do weddings here. Because why would you want to do a wedding at a plantation? Because you've separated yourself from that. And I've never understood that. Why would you want to? But I also look at this man, not this Black man. I look at that man in the video and I say, what did those people tell you? What books have you been reading? Because you have to be of a certain constitution in order to say the things that you said. There's no way. And you already know I'm in an interracial relationship.
Right. Well, the thing that hurt me, Anastasia, just personally, is, and not to make it about me, but I'm me, so hello, is that just because he hasn't personally experienced it, that means that it doesn't exist and nobody around him. I mean, does he not have eyes? Does he not read? Does he not study? Does he not? He seems like a very, very educated man, at least in the way he speaks. He's an excellent speaker. That's for sure. He's passionate. So he seems very educated. So clearly he cannot, he's acting like total denial. Sure, that's great. He hasn't had that experience. But hello and welcome to the rest of the world. It's not just about him, and he's being influential based on his experience.
Right. But this is the thing. You have a comment about how can we move on? I think it's called Haru,
the Duke of the Great Lakes. How can we move to post-racism if white people never admit they're racist?
Because that's the point. This is the thing. Everybody believes that white America wants to move on from it. Why would I want to move on from something that I'm benefiting from? Mm-hmm. Let's be clear about something. Racism, as Dr. Claude Anderson says it, is the competition of groups of people for wealth and power. If I am benefiting from something, why would I want to give it up? And then even if I do something wrong, I can blame it on you.
Right. And I want to jump in there really quickly, if you don't mind. That's a great definition, but I want to add something to it.
Yeah.
And that is, white folks believe, feel. It's our feelings again. We feel we are benefiting from it. It's our feelings. Most of us are actually not benefiting from it. We just don't know it because we've been played the fool. If you are among the billionaire class, the multimillionaire, the billionaire, then you know what? Maybe you are benefiting from it. But if you're not, you're voting against your own best interest and you're being played the fool.
I agree. I totally agree. And this is the thing. You and I had a conversation last night, about a PTA meeting. And the sad part about it, of being in a status, a Schrodinger's cat type of situation, the cat is neither dead nor alive, is when you walk into a situation and you don't know if the people are talking to you and being nice to you because of who you are or because of who you're not. You understand what I'm saying?
Well, it's a lot of psychological games being a Black person or a brown person or Indigenous person, because you know society overall, but it's true, you don't know the individual.
No.
When they say something, it's are they? You end up, it's kind of vague. You're second guessing yourself. You can tell if you want to give the example before we close.
It's a thing, but this is the thing. I live my life in that constantly, because you're in a situation and it's always, wait a minute, did you say that to me because you're happy that I'm here? Or are you happy that I'm Black? So what she's talking about.
Tell what happened. Tell what happened.
Yeah, right. What Angry Soccer Mom is talking about is that we were having a conversation and I had went to a teacher appreciation breakfast. And one of the parents said to me, I'm so glad you're here. Now, when she said it after we had been talking about being in Mississippi. And not a lot of people see, that's one thing I didn't tell you, that it was after a conversation about living in Mississippi. And so that's why when she said, oh, you made the right choice, we're glad you're here. And I'm like, are you glad I'm here because I'm Black or because I'm here helping out with the PTA? And I don't know what either way she meant it. It's just a constant, I have to think double-sided about it. And then people are going to say, oh, you're being negative. You should take people at face value. Come on, man.
Angry Black woman, Anastasia.
Always been the angry Black woman.
You are not allowed to have emotions. Don't you realize that?
No, not at all. We're not allowed to have emotions. Nope. We should be blank slates. Right. And the thing about it is, but I've also been in situations where people have told me, you need to go back where you came from. And I'm like, Brooklyn? You need to go, okay, I'll go back to Brooklyn happily. And I often tell people when they say that to us, oh, send me first class to Ghana. Make sure it's first class with my whole entire family. I want a one-way trip there. So what are you talking about? But yeah.
People are incredibly naive. And you know what? And I can't speak for the answer to this. And then I'll give a couple more comments and then we gotta run.
No problem.
But when people ask, like, so how are we going to ever get people to realize what's going on? Well, first of all, we do realize what's going on at one level or another. We absolutely do. Sorry, we do. Just facts. However, bringing white people along and educating us, education and traveling the world are the two things, statistically speaking, in academia, that get people to be less racist and more accepting of people who don't look like them, don't pray like them, don't talk like them, I'm talking everything. It's traveling the world, which I'm sorry, I don't have the money to have everyone travel the world. Education. That's why I am so into educating people about our real racial history. People say, why don't you do something about it? Well, that's what educating people about the truth about our real racial history does. I don't have to teach them a thing. I don't have to convince them of anything. Anyone who studies our real racial history, anyone. I mean, if they're really studying our real racial history, not the whitewash crap you get in school. No. Right. I mean, studying it. Will realize white supremacy is the essence of our being in this country and much of the world.
Yep.
So last two comments right here. But that heard the Duke of Great Lakes, fantastic comment. Let me see. I skipped a couple people here and there and everywhere. Garrick, we have also created buzzwords to deflect and deny racism, playing the race card when the complex topic comes up because America wants to continue its racism and implicit bias versus confronting it. We don't want to hear it. Absolutely. And Garrett, next time someone tells you to go back to where you come from, use Paul Mooney's line. You can't return stolen merchandise. Ooh, ouch.
Yeah. I mean, he's right though. But this is the thing. Like I tell people, Jane Elliott told us within one generation, we can be done with racism. Education. They're not teaching CRT. They're teaching inclusivity, diversity.
They're not even teaching real racial history. They're not teaching real racial history. It's all whitewashed. They're teaching kumbaya to the kids and to all of us. If you're lucky, you'll hear about black codes. If you're lucky, you might hear a little bit about redlining. We're not teaching our real racial history. We are continuing the bullshit of white supremacy. And so teaching critical race theory, oh, please, that doesn't happen. And that'll never happen. It's like we made laws to stop people from doing something that they don't do. I'm a teacher. We don't do it. don't know what to say. You want to make a closing comment and we'll say.
No, I think conversations like this is great, because the fact of the matter is that white people and this is the thing, it's not just white people. If it doesn't affect them, they don't care. So I'm talking about non-Black people and some Black people to a certain point. They just don't care until it happens to them. If everybody knows that I am a board member of Black Lives Matter Mississippi, every time something happens, the person always said, I never thought this was going to happen to me. And I say, why?
Because we're special. Yeah,
why? Why did you never? It's just like a drunk driver. That's not the first time that person was drinking and driving.
Right.
Usually when somebody, you know what I'm saying? When something happens like that, that's not the first time you were doing that. And you just got caught this time. But the only thing I'll say is that we're going to fight individually, and we're going to fight collectively in ways like this, and protesting and legislative and getting candidates till hell freezes over. And if there's any more injustice, like I always say, we're going to fight you on the ice. So get your skates.
Yep. We're going to do what it takes till our very last breath.
Yes.
You know, I don't know if it has to do with white folks learning vicariously or having empathy, or I don't know. It's a very strange, disturbing, convoluted mess of many, many things. That's all I can say. I have no answers, but I know education is definitely something that can help. And that's where I'm trying to come in.
Yes,
Just
ma'am.
hearing a white person say the word Black. Boo. I said it. It's not a bad word. It's a neutral word. Okay. And, you know, just seeing a white person say yes, white supremacy is the number one feature that along of our culture, that along with you know, money making, basically.
Yeah.
You know, with capitalism. And just if one person thinks, wow, no one's paying that white lady to say that, then maybe I'll make a difference. I don't know. And on that lovely note, thank you so much for being here.
Thank you.
I'd like to make this a weekly thing. We critiqued videos. We critiqued.
All right.
Videos. So we'll definitely chat about that.
All right. Talk to you later, ma'am.
Thanks for everyone for being here.
Bye.
Bye-bye. See you this Wednesday, hopefully.
Yes, you will.
Great.